Prof, many thanks for joining us this evening. Do you hold the view that Parliament has actually lost its sanctity?
Yeah, thank you very much. You know that the challenge that we face in our country is basically historical. That the NRM and guerrilla war against Milton Obote was based on trusts. People were assigned responsibilities based on trusts rather than on competencies, because that is the nature of the guerrilla fighting. If you don't trust somebody, he will betray you. And when President Museveni came to power, initially he embraced everybody as a collective. But later he fell back into the historical tendency of relying on people he can trust rather than the competencies that drive institutions of state. And we ended up in now a parliament where at all levels, whether it is at the administrative level, at the leadership level, and even at the membership level, everything was being done and has been done to ensure that people that they trust, ours, are the ones in positions of responsibility. In the process, what Parliament is supposed to be, a legislative oversight and appropriation body, ceased to exist. And we're having a very difficult situation because Parliament was that arm of the state that would oversee the actions that take place in the judiciary, that would oversee the actions that take place in the executive. But if they have already become victims of the same mischief, then who is watching over who? That is the challenge we face.
Well, Prof, looking into what Parliament is up to right now, do you think that the executive or the people in power undermine Parliament because they simply know Parliament will actually not do anything?
Yeah, I don't even know whether you could call them undermining, because the leadership of Parliament are part and parcel of what is happening to Parliament. They, instead of sticking to their role as leaders of Parliament and insisting that these are the responsibilities of our Parliament, these are the mandates of our Parliament, and please, executive, do your part, we will do our part, all for the good of the country. They became part of the instruments that the executive uses to make sure that things that ought to be independently done in Parliament are done in the interest of this, of the executive. Unfortunately, the state becomes a victim. Institutions cease to function, and when they don't function, the progress that the country desires will not be achieved, and in the end, it is all bitterness on all sides, it is all anger on all sides, and it is all a threat of a very bitter end on all sides. And that's the challenge that we now see.
So then what can be done? Do you think there are measures that can be put in place for Parliament to be able to push back? If they summon someone at the rank of the CDF and does not turn up, they can do something. What are the measures that can be put in place? So how can Parliament actually get out of this?
The predicament of Parliament is the bigger challenge of this country. I keep saying this repeatedly, that we really need to sit down as a people, not as FDC, NRM, but as a people. Let us sit down and say, things are not working right. What do we need to do? Until we accept to sit down, the situation will continue to deteriorate until it reaches the state of violent change. And nobody desires violent change in Uganda, because the seams of division is so strong in Uganda now that if violent change occurs, our country will cease to exist. I don't want that. I would rather give up being a strong, what they call strong opposition, and say I should be a strong Ugandan nationalist who wants us to sit together, recognize that we all belong, and we have the responsibility and ensuring that tomorrow is good for all of us. Tomorrow is safe for our children and grandchildren. But the key player in this is President Museveni and the NRM. If they don't listen to us, as Muntu likes to say, as day follows night, night will also follow day. And in that darkness, I fear for this country.
Professor Ogenga Latigo, former leader of opposition in Parliament, many thanks for sharing your views with us here.